you. So Ponyo and I, my husband, started to talk to her, and it verged on pleading, where we said, Matilda, this is your first year at this school. If you keep doing this, you won't have any friends. And Matilda looked at us straight in the eye and she said, I don't need any friends. I don't want any friends. And this was very alarming to both of us. I would say maybe a week went by. It was probably about a week before Matilda and Ponyo and I both got hauled into the principal's office. And I can tell you that I never in my life had been inside of a principal's office. Only in a movie, in fact. There was a scene in Pretty in Pink where I got called into the principal's office, and that was my only experience. And the same with my husband. We were both such goody two-shoes as kids. And Matilda's there with her feet up on the desk. And the principal excuses her from the office, and she talks with my husband and me, and she says, Matilda's a very bright child. She's very observant. In my opinion, she's highly gifted. She's very funny. But if she continues this mode of behavior, I'm afraid that people are going to see her as a bully. And I can't tell you what that word meant to me. Because, I basically made a career out of being the girl who stood up to bullies in movies. All those movies, I think they really spoke to people because everybody's been bullied in one way in their life. But I was the girl who stood up to them. And it really meant a lot to me. And not only that, but I was actually bullied in my own life. In 7th grade, I had this bully, this 8th grader named Shirley Panini. That's not her real name, but it's really close. And I didn't even know who she was. She just showed up, I would walk down the hall, and there she would be in her little Dutch boy haircut, and she would say, Ringwald, I'm going to kick your ass after school. After school, I'm going to kick your ass. And I had no idea who this girl was. I just knew that she didn't like me for some reason, and she really scared me. And she scared me to the point where I told my parents that I wasn't going to go back to that school. They could drop me off at school, and I would wait until they left, and then I would leave. And I think my parents knew that I was serious because I left that school. So when I heard that word bully connected to my daughter, I thought, this is impossible. I know my daughter, and I know what a huge and sensitive and compassionate heart she has. I mean, this is a girl that when I put my father's teddy bear, I don't have very many things that belong to my father, so this was very precious to me. I put my father's teddy bear in the washing machine, and all the stuffing came out. But I didn't realize it. I opened the machine, and all I saw was stuffing, and I thought that I'd killed my father's bear. And I was devastated, and I burst into tears, and Matilda saw me, came running out, and offered to empty her piggy bank to get me another teddy bear because she could see how much it meant to me. I knew Matilda, and I knew that the school could not see into the heart of Matilda, but I could, and I needed to figure out what was wrong. So I went into this frenzy of self-help books. I stayed up all night on Amazon, getting books like, Your Defiant Child, Your Edison Trait Child, Your Trauma of the Gifted Child, and what to do when your child doesn't have all the answers. And I did everything I could. I went down this rabbit hole of child therapists and child psychiatrists and educational therapists. I even considered biofeedback. Anything to bring my lovely child back to us. One of the things that I decided to try was a social skills class because it was recommended to me, this class at a college. And it seemed like a good idea, and I presented it to Matilda, and she said no, and I said, too bad, you're going. So we were in traffic for a long time. It took us a long time to get there, and Matilda and I have this deal where she gets to listen to one Kesha song, and I get to listen to one Ella Fitzgerald song, and then we have to listen to something that we both like. And in this case, it was a show called Radio Lab. I don't know if many of you know Radio Lab, but it's a fantastic show. I like to call it This American Life for Science. And it's a show that really speaks to both of us. And this particular episode was about zoos. And Matilda is a big animal lover. You know, she really feels very comfortable in the company of animals and really cares about them. So I thought it would be a really good thing to listen to. And this particular part of the show had to do with gorillas. And, you know, before the 70s, gorillas didn't have, you know, they were just in these concrete boxes in zoos. And they were slowly going out of their minds. And this one man took it upon himself to change all that and to really give gorillas the habitats that they needed in zoos. And so Matilda and I are listening to this, and they're describing this gorilla the first time he sees sky in his life. And everybody, you know, the zookeepers and the specialists and the architects, everybody is standing on the other side of the glass watching this gorilla and not knowing if the gorilla is just going to absolutely lose his mind. But he looks up at the sky, and then he touches his hands to the grass, which he's never felt in his life. And he's closing his eyes, and he's feeling the wind on his fur for the first time. And while I'm listening to this, I'm looking at my daughter in the back seat, and she's mirroring everything that this gorilla is doing. She's looking up, she's closing her eyes, she's feeling her face, she's touching the seat as though it's grass. And I realize that my daughter is not in her habitat. And as her mother, I vowed that day that no matter what, I would find her habitat. I would find a way for her to thrive. And I can't tell you all the ways that I did it, but I pretty much made it my full-time job this year. And a few weeks ago, I was on the playground watching Matilda hang upside down on the apparatus. They used to call it the jungle gym, but now they call it the apparatus. And she's hanging upside down with her legs locked with a girl. And this mother comes running up to me, and she says, Molly, you don't know me, but I need to talk to you about Matilda. And I thought, oh my God, do you have to ruin this moment? I'm watching her. Really? You have to talk to me about Matilda? I said, what? What about Matilda? And she said, I just want to tell you that my daughter, Hannah, loves your daughter. And I said, oh, really? Why? I mean, I love her, but you know, why does she love her? And she said, Hannah loves her because she said that she stood up for her on the playground. And she wants to know if Matilda can come over for a play date. And so I told her that we would be happy to, and we would be there with bells on. Thank you.
That was Molly Ringwald. Throughout her extensive career, she's worked with directors such as Paul Mazursky, John Hughes, Cindy Sherman, and Jean-Luc Godard. She's the author of When It Happens to You, a novel in stories. Molly lives with her husband and 3 children in Los Angeles. I recently sat down to talk with Molly. The first time you ever came to a Moth show, it occurs to me that you were actually pregnant with Matilda.
I was very pregnant at the time, and somebody, and it was all sold out, but somebody gave me a seat. And which, when you're pregnant, you are so appreciative of that. So it made me love the Moth forever.
So then I immediately wrote to you and asked you to tell a story, and you basically said, no way. Discuss.
Yes. The idea of getting in front of an audience and not having a character, you know, it's not somebody else's lines, it just really terrified me. And I think the Moth actually really did help me to a certain extent. I mean, I won't say that I have no fear about public speaking, but I think it really helped.
So give us an update. How is Miss Matilda doing?
She's doing incredibly well. Now she's just getting ready to graduate from the 5th grade, and she's part of the student council. She's a Madam Secretary. I mean, that to me is a real testament to how everything turned around. She's still an iconoclast. She's always going to be an original, but I think she's learning to channel it. And she's also a really good friend. She has a group of friends, and that to me is the most important thing. So yeah, she's in a great place.
That was writer, actress, and moth storyteller Molly Ringwald. To hear more of my interview with Molly, go to themoth.org. Coming up, a young boy obsessed with magic begs his mom to buy him a straitjacket for Christmas when the Moth Radio Hour continues.